something's different.
I'm changing.
I don't know if I like who I'm becoming.
Boyd, there are a lot of people wanting to know what happened down there.
Where's Dad? Why isn't he back yet?
Tabitha, we need to talk. It means everything they show us. It's real. I think they're doing it to make us afraid.
Well, then it worked. There's something ancient here. And it's feeding off our suffering, and it doesn't stop.
We're losing. We're running out of time, and we still don't know the goddamn rules. There is no way to fight back against those things. Everything we've done, every sacrifice we've made, none of us are going anywhere.
You think you're some kind of hero? You're a monster. Lord, please protect us in this dark place where evil roams so freely. This we ask in your name. Amen.
One way or another, the truth always comes out.
I would make sure it doesn't. We're running out of time, and we still don't know the rules.
Everything here is impossible, but it's also real.
Saving those children is how we all go home.
There's something else here now. Something new. Your wife shouldn't have dug that hole, Jim.
And welcome welcome all to a very special edition of the Fromville Hour on this very fine Thursday evening. And here we are, folks, coming off the back end of a 1-week break in between episodes 5 and 6, which I know many of us are definitely ready for this break to be over and ready for episode 6 to just finally get here so we can finally dive into the second half of season 4. And here we are, folks. We are just a few days away now. Finally, just a few days away from episode 6 hitting our screens. And I'm ready, Snugs. I don't know about you, my friend, but I am definitely more than ready to dive into the second half of season 4.
Oh, hell yeah. It'd be great to see what's going to go on. I think that they must have wanted to build up a little bit of suspense for this next episode. I think that we might see some more stuff happening than we have so far in the season. Hoping, at least.
Me too. I'm hoping so. I am hoping that the second half. I mean, the first half of the season. I mean, I don't want to call it slow, but it definitely wasn't as high intensity as I guess I was expecting. Seeing as we heard a lot of hype coming into season 4, how this is going to be one of their the darkest season yet. Where things are going to really start coming into fruition. And yeah, the first half of the season definitely set up some really interesting things, but didn't really punch a whole lot home. We did get some interesting answers, some definitive answers surrounding Jade, and that was actually really interesting. I think episode 5 was probably the strongest episode of the season so far, just with everything we got from Jade, his background, finding out that all of these visions that he has been seeing are all previous incarnations of himself, which is something we've been theorizing on for a while. So it was nice to get some definitive answers. That's kind of how I look at the first half of season 4. They're kind of slowly setting up the storyline while giving us some nice nuggets of information along the way. And I'm really hoping that the second half of season 4 is going to transition into a little bit more of that high intensity, high stakes, a little bit more dangerous territory.
Yeah, and I hope that they wrap up some of I keep thinking of some of the threads that they started back in season 1, season 2 that they seem to have lost, like Boyd and his boat. I don't know if that'll pop up again. I'm hoping that it will, but
Yeah.
some of the theories that we had from the first seasons, we've kind of lost those clues, and they've just piled more and more clues onto us.
Mhm.
It does seem like they're getting a little bit more wrapped up, or we're starting to pull some things
Yeah.
together this
Mhm.
season, which is great. Um, so I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Me too. I mean, with this being the penultimate season, I mean, we did get the official confirmation that season 5 next season is going to be the final season. That's it. We are officially at the beginning of the end of From. So yeah, I'm definitely expecting the second half of season 4 to kind of, pick up the intensity a little bit more and continue to deliver some pretty big revelations. I'm hoping that by the time season 4 is done, that we as an audience will have a much better grasp on exactly what Fromville is, and a little bit, and exactly what our characters need to do to save the children, quote unquote. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm very much excited for the second half of the season. I'm looking forward to seeing where some of these storylines are going to go. I think the Jade and Boyd storyline has by far been my favorite storyline so far. Jade and Boyd haven't really gotten a ton of screen time together. They've been in a few scenes, but Jade and Boyd haven't had a ton of on-screen scenes together. So it's nice to see them kind of teaming up, where every single episode so far, we're seeing Boyd and Jade kind of work together and trying to find answers and solve this. So I'm really enjoying that. That's probably my favorite storyline so far for the first half of season 4. My least favorite storyline, however, though, and I've said this in the past, this isn't really some revelation or anything, but I haven't been the hugest fan of the direction of the Man in Yellow's character. I just feel like they've done some interesting things with it, with the Sophia version of it, but it's definitely not what I was expecting coming into season 4. So the Boyd and Jade storyline is definitely my favorite, but I am waiting for the Sophia storyline to pick up a little bit more. I just feel like the undercover thing is starting to take its course. I'm hoping that she gets discovered pretty soon, and it adds a certain level of chaos to the second half of the season. I think that could be really interesting, and just what that Sophia storyline needs.
Yeah, I think so, and it makes you wonder: are there other shapeshifters? We talked about this before we started. It's like, are there more shapeshifters there? I still hold on to the Donna is the mole. There's something about Donna, and her story for coming in is not the same as everyone else's. So there's something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's an alien. I don't know. That's a possibility. I'm still holding on to that theory. But there is something with her that I think there's more than meets the eye there. And well, we haven't seen. I don't think we've really seen a lot of Tabby's storyline this season. There's been more focus on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're getting a lot of Jade with, at the end of season 3, Tabitha and Jade both got that big revelation where they're getting all of this information that they are reincarnated versions of some of the original parents. They've been brought here generation after generation through all of their different reincarnations over the centuries. But we're seeing Jade kind of like fully embrace that information, fully embrace that, and trying to learn a little bit more about it. But Tabitha, we're seeing the exact opposite, where it seems like she's not too trusting of it. She doesn't even really trust this information that's been put into her head, for starters. She even questions Jade whether or not it's even real. So it seems like she's trying to avoid it as much as she can. She's trying to deny it, push it down, but at some point she's going to have to confront it.
Yeah, and maybe that's what we'll see as we continue through the season. I hope so. But now it seems like they're focusing. I guess there's you've also got the two fates. So Tabitha gets eaten, and Jade just gets killed, I guess, by the town in all these iterations.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting reveal.
Yeah. And I guess the question is, like, does the Man in Yellow, like, we see the all of the victims of the monsters eaten, is that the Man in Yellow, or is that the monsters that do it?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Really, that's a really good question, and something that we need to. Yeah, I'm hoping that, because that's something we have had questions for ever since the very beginning of the show. Like, when we see how these monsters kill their victims, when we see what these monsters do to their victims, how the organs and the insides are picked clean, completely gone. Yet we never actually see the monsters eating victims. We see the monsters clawing victims up, but we never actually really see the monsters eating organs. Here in this season, we finally got the reveal that the man in yellow very much does snack on organs. He was snacking on that liver like it was a chicken cutlet. So yeah, that does make me wonder, when we see the monsters kill these victims, are the monsters just eating the organs just like the man in yellow does? Or are the monsters actually bringing the organs to the man in yellow for him to eat? I saw that was a theory that a lot of people were wondering as well, that the monsters are bringing the organs elsewhere. But yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to get that definitive information. We know the man in yellow likes snacking on organs. I wouldn't be surprised if the monsters do too.
Yeah. Or and when did the man in yellow come back? I mean, we heard him over the radio talking to Jim, but has he been kind of in the background the whole time and just stepped forward because they got too much? They're getting too close to
the truth,
the secrets of the town. Yeah. Or is it, or was he released when Boyd, with Martin? Does he have some connection with Martin? I don't know. Hopefully we'll find out.
The Martin stuff is very, very interesting. Just for me anyway. I've always found Martin to be a very intriguing and interesting character, just because there's just so much we don't know about him yet. We still have no idea who or even what Martin was. But recently, the official from MGM account, the official account right from MGM itself, put out a very interesting and cryptic tweet over the weekend. They posted it on X, on Facebook, and on their Instagram. And it was a caption showing a scene from when Boyd first meets Martin, when Martin is telling Boyd, what if Abby was right? What if it's all just a dream? It was just a quick little snippet of that section of that scene with the caption that read, were we listening closely enough? Or different variations of were we listening closely enough? They word it differently on each platform, but it's pretty much the same message at the end of the day. Were we listening closely enough? With a little snippet of that scene of Martin telling Boyd that there's worse things out there in the forest, nightmares that you couldn't imagine, things that we were never meant to see. So part of me wonders, is that just a wink and a nod? Is that just a kind of a callback to Martin telling people that nightmares can get birthed out into the forest, can be manifested out into the forest? Because we also did get that recent revelation in episode 5 as well, that people's nightmares can indeed get manifested here in this place when they die, which is the explanation we got for the living scarecrow dolls that we saw in episode 5, firemen and all the rest, and the demonic Kool-Aid men, as I like to call them. We are learning definitively that people's nightmares can be brought to life when they die here. So when they post that Martin scene, part of me wondered if it was just a little wink and a nod to that, a little callback to Martin was foreshadowing this the entire time, talking about how there are nightmares in the forest, things we were never meant to see. So I think that might be just what the account was trying to kind of tell us, that Martin was foreshadowing this all the way back in season 2, unless there's a deeper, more cryptic meaning hidden in that scene that we're going to get more context for in this next episode. And I guess that's one thing I am hoping. Like, are we going to get a return of Martin? Are we going to get a cameo from Martin in episode 6? Are we finally going to learn just who or what Martin really is? I hope so, because that is something that I really hope they don't leave open-ended. Like, I really want to get a definitive origin story and a definitive answer as to who Martin really is. Because there's so many good theories out there in terms of Martin really being the man in yellow in disguise the whole time, Martin not being real, Martin really being Martin, or Martin being some kind of story walker that was held captive by the man in yellow. There's so many really good theories out there. So I hope we get a definitive answer as to what's going on with frickin' Martin.
Yeah. And are there more, I guess, with the story walkers, can you just go back or can you go forward?
Exactly. I
don't know.
That's actually a really good question. We haven't even seen Julie really even discuss that. We haven't seen any part of the show really discuss that. We hear Ethan tell Julie that she can go back. she can go back and revisit the chapters.
Mhm.
But we never hear him say anything about her being able to go forward and visit future chapters. So that is actually a really
Right.
good question, Snug. When it comes to Julie's story walking, is it simply just a past thing where she can only visit the past? Or yeah, can she
Mhm.
visit the future as well? I mean, it's a very good question. One we definitely don't have an answer to yet.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
but
there's
yeah,
tons of questions we don't have the answer to.
there are. There are tons. But I like that we're
Do
starting to get some. Again,
Yeah,
giving us
yeah.
some. They have been giving us some definitive answers in some categories. Again, episode 5 in particular was pretty heavy with
Mhm.
answers and revelations in terms of Jade, all the stuff that we got revealed for Jade, the Tabitha stuff at Cannibal Village, the nightmares being brought to life, and etc.
Mhm.
So we're getting some interesting answers. But I did also notice that we're getting the answers via exposition, and we're not actually seeing flashbacks to these times where we can actually see what happened. We're only hearing about what happened. And for me, like I really hope that at some point we get a nice definitive flashback to that original
Mhm.
timeline, a flashback to the Ankui sacrifice, so we can see with our own eyes what really happened instead of just hearing it through exposition. And again,
Mhm.
I know I bring this up a lot, but for me, it's just a big part of, for me, like what I look for in good storytelling is always show me, don't tell me. Any
Right.
writer can tell you answers. It takes a really good kind of story crafter to show you the answers without having to explain them. So that's one thing I'm hoping to see a little bit more of as we continue to get answers. I'm hoping that they start to show us some of these answers via flashbacks instead of just hearing about them through
Mhm.
exposition.
Yeah. Yeah. Xavier's asking if Martin was a physical bookmark, so that kind of gets into the Julie storyline
Ooh.
with the bookmarks. It's a possibility.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't figure out the bookmark thing. Although I don't remember
Hmm.
whether I thought of it myself or whether I heard someone say it. But the what if Victor's drawings are bookmarks?
Yes, that's
I,
right.
I
I remember seeing that pop up when the bookmark things first kind of came into the story, where I believe some people in the chat were also mentioning that if Victor's drawings could potentially be the bookmarks that Julie needs, and it would make kind of sense, I guess,
Mhm.
in one point of view, where when you look at Victor's drawings, they're not just random drawings; they're slices of time, they're
Right.
memories. Like
Right.
just about everything that Victor draws is a memory of his, something that he might, something that he wants to keep a record of, keep track of. So these aren't just random drawings; these are little slices of time, little slices of memories. And each memory is attached to a certain time period. And we know Victor has drawings going all the way back to the 1978 timeline. So yeah, could Julie maybe use some of those to navigate from where she is now to the 78 cycle and get some more answers from Miranda, find out what really happened to Eloise, or
Mhm.
whatever. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting theory when a
Mhm.
lot of you guys started to bring that up, that Victor's drawings could potentially be bookmarks. Because yeah, the whole bookmark thing is a little wonky. Like I get what they're
Mhm.
going for in terms of Julie trying to kind of create like these little back doors, I guess you can call them, into certain time periods. So if she ever needs to visit a specific time period, she can just boom, grab that bookmark and go right to that place. So I get what they're doing in theory. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it actually works, because it seemed like the bookmark thing did not work the first time she tried it.
No. No. But I just realized that have we already seen at least some version of the bookmark to where you have Tabby go through, get pushed out of the lighthouse, and she
Ooh,
has Victor's lunchbox, but it has his address in it, and that's the
yeah,
town that she winds up in.
yeah,
So
yeah,
is that foreshadowing a bookmark? And we have
yeah,
foreshadowing Julie being able to change the story because she's the one who drops the rope.
the rope. Hmm.
So she needed to be there. So unless she's just part of the story, walking as part of the story, it's weird. It's convoluted. I'm
Yeah.
just grabbing at straws really to try to figure out what they're going for,
It,
which makes it
it,
fun.
It does. It makes it fun to a certain extent, but for me, it does make me a little bit worried to a certain lesser extent, I guess, as well. Just for the simple question as, okay, this is a story that didn't seem to initially be built around time traveling. That is introducing time traveling very later on in the story.
Yeah.
And I feel like that can always present some very interesting problems if there isn't like a sound plan behind how you plan to use the time travel within the narrative.
Yeah, it's
Because
tough
like you
to
said,
do it.
it's tough. It can be tough. I mean, it's not something it's something that only experienced writers should probably try, I would say.
Right.
So I do have faith that John Griffin knows what he's going to do with it. Again, he hasn't given me any reason to doubt him up until this point with his storylines. But I guess I'm just interested to see to what extent is the story walking going to be used? Like, how vital of an aspect to the end game is it going to play? I guess that's what I want to see, because yeah, if not done right, time travel storylines can get a little bit convoluted. And I think the rope thing you brought up is a perfect example of that, because even now, right up until this very moment, you have the fandom kind of split on the interpretation of that rope scene. Some people see that rope scene and they see it as evidence that Julie can change things. And some people see that rope scene as evidence that Julie was always the one who threw the rope. She's just only experiencing it now because her timeline isn't linear. So again, the rope thing it was an interesting reveal that we got. But we didn't get a definitive explanation as to what exactly it means. Does that mean she can't change things? Or does that mean that is always what happened? Again, we don't really know, but it does present some interesting conversations, if nothing else.
Yeah. It is kind of weird, because that means that it would mean that she can't actually change it, because the story wouldn't have happened the way it did if she wouldn't have dropped the rope.
Yeah.
So that's it's tough to see. It's interesting to me that she's going back to try to save her dad, which I was a Jim hater. Not so much anymore. I'm a little sympathetic to him, but I'd always figured that he would be the one to try to save his family, and it's going to or to save her in particular, but it's going to wind up being her trying to save him.
Yeah.
I don't know whether she'll be successful, but
yeah, I guess that will be the ultimate question. Will Julie ever really find a way to save Jim? I mean, we know that's her main goal. We know her main focus is to try and get a handle on this story walking ability for the sole purpose of being able to save Jim. And even Thomas, like when she first gets this story walking ability in season 3, the first thing she says to Ethan is, I can go back and save Tien Chen. I can go back and save Thomas. And then Ethan kind of, bursts her bubble when he tells her, no, you can't. You can go back and revisit the chapters, but you can't change the story. And ever since then, Julie has been on this kind of mission, this crusade, I guess you can call it, trying to get a handle on this story walking ability so she can prove Ethan wrong, so she can prove that maybe she can change things. At the very least, it seems like she's going to continue to try. And again, I like the story walking aspect. I think Julie and Randall kind of teaming up has been kind of fun to watch. I think Julie and Randall have good on-screen. They have good on-screen chemistry together in terms of that brother-sister relationship. And I think it's been fun to kind of, watch them kind of navigate this brand new aspect of this thing that neither of them know anything about. I mean, they're reading freaking children's fantasy stories, trying to learn about this ability that they just came in contact with, an ability that Ethan just arbitrarily kind of calls story walking and puts these arbitrary rules on it, telling her what she can and can't do. So right from the very beginning, you get the sense that Julie feels like she's up against it. Like this is an impossible task on top of an impossible task type thing in terms of learning how to get in control of this ability. And then seeing if I can actually get to the point where I can change something, or am I doomed to just watch the past repeat over and over and over again? Because I thought one thing was interesting, a piece of dialogue we got in episode 1 this season. And I love how episode 1 just picked up right where season 3 left off, where literally the beginning of the episode, the first thing we see is Jim falling to the ground right after his throat got ripped off. So I love how the season picked up right where it left off. But we get that little interesting piece of dialogue between the Man in Yellow and Julie, where the Man in Yellow says, we have got to stop meeting like this. When did you come from this time? Indicating that at that point in time, the Man in Yellow had many different run-ins with Julie over and over and over again. Because again, this was a future version of Julie that we saw at the end of season 3, not our current version. Who knows how many times she's tried to go back and save Jim, only to watch him, die over and over and over again, only for her to fail over and over and over again. So I think that's going to be very interesting. We at least have some indication that Julie is going to be trying to save Jim for a very long time with little to no results.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the one thing we can be relieved of, though, is that Marielle didn't cut her hair. I think
This
that's
is
what we
true.
can be relieved of. Yeah.
This is true. This is
But
true.
we have David and Dasha in the chat had something about the personal items and maybe Tabitha's bracelet being bookmarks, and maybe that's what
Okay.
either in the basement or in the storage room are
Storage
those
room.
items that could be used as bookmarks, or
Yeah.
is the fact that Tabitha's bracelet is duplicated, in and outside of Fromville, is that a
Mhm.
bookmark? I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. We know that every one of these Tabithas, each one of them has been making just the same bracelet over and over and over again throughout the generations. Now, does that mean you would have to get each individual bracelet in order to get to that time period in which which Tabitha that was attached to? Or does that mean you just need one of the bracelets and you can access all of them? I don't know. That's actually a really good question. But yeah, I again, and let us know what you guys think in the chat as well. How do you guys think the story walking ability of Julie's is ultimately going to be used on the show? Where do you guys see Julie's storyline going? Do you see her playing like a really big, vital role in the main endgame? Is her story walking going to be a pretty big part of the ending? Or of the answer? Or do you see it being a rather minor part in the grand scheme of things? I feel like introducing an ability like this, I feel like it has to play some kind of big role in the overall ending. Otherwise, why introduce it so late in the game if it's not going to be rather important in some way?
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be important.
Yeah.
They do have something. Someone said their knowledge comes at Acosta. So I wonder if that
Yeah.
name is just a little too on the nose.
That's what
as
we
far
were
as
wondering.
knowledge. Yeah,
Mm.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
because it sticks right out at you. No, I mean, like we hear knowledge comes with the cost. Knowledge comes at a cost. And then here all of a sudden we have Acosta. Knowledge comes at
Mhm.
a cost. So yeah, you wonder, is that just coincidence? Is it simply just a coincidence that it lined up that way? Or is there something a little bit deeper there? You can never really tell with From. When you see little things like that, you can never 100% tell if it's just simply coincidence and we as the fan base are looking, deeper into it when there's not really anything deeper there. Or maybe we are picking something up that is going to mean something a little bit deeper. So yeah, that is one of those, for me, that's, that thing falls in that category in terms of the Acosta. Is it just a coincidence or is it more?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But I do not know. Maybe we'll find. I'm sure we'll find out though. I am sure
Yeah,
we
hopefully
will
we'll
find
find out.
out.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. We got Dolphins in the house. Welcome. Just remember, we didn't know what they did with them once they killed them, but you could see the Man in Yellow eating the people in town that scared like anything. I mean, again, we still haven't really seen the full extent of this massacre, of what really happens. We're kind of led to believe that the monsters kind of massacred the whole town. But here we see this flashback that the Man in Yellow was very much involved. I mean, if we don't know if he was involved in the actual slaughter or if he just kind of waltzed in there the next morning and started snacking on everybody's freaking organs. I guess that is a question. Was the Man in Yellow part of the actual massacre, or did he just come to, eat afterwards? That is a good question. But yeah, I imagine this season is going to be I imagine we're going to continue to return back to that moment. The massacre of the 1978 timeline has been such like a huge moment, such a big fixed event within the timeline of From for so long. It's referenced throughout the story tons of times. So many of our characters have loose connections to it or direct connections to it. So I have to imagine we're going to continue to travel back to this 1978 massacre more and more and more as the season goes on. And by the time the season ends, I'm hoping we'll have a definitive look, a definitive answer as to what really happened that night. What happened this night? Who did the killing? What part did Christopher play in it? Why did Miranda tell young Victor and young Eloise to hide somewhere where Christopher couldn't find them? Like, there's so many questions we still have about that night.
Mm-hmm. And I guess why was Victor allowed to survive for 40 years by himself?
Yeah,
Because I'm not sure when people started coming back into the town, or when people
another
started.
question.
I don't know, but why was Victor allowed to survive for so long?
Yeah. If these massacres serve as an ending point, a way to end one cycle so another cycle can start, and it seems like the ultimate ending of a cycle is a massacre ending in the death of the people in the town, but also the death of the current Jade and Tabitha that are alive at that point in time as well. So yeah, you start to wonder, like, if this massacre was meant to be the ending of a cycle, how come Victor was left alive so long? When I imagine the Man in Yellow probably could have killed him numerous different times. Unless we're going to find out that maybe he couldn't. Are we going to find out that there are some kind of rules that prevent the Man in Yellow from directly harming the people that the children bring into Fromville? Are the children protecting them in some small manner from the Man in Yellow? I don't know. Again, I always thought it was pretty interesting how the Man in Yellow is pretending to be human and enters the town seemingly towards the end of every cycle just to stir up all of this chaos in hopes of getting the town to turn against Jade and Tabitha. And I wonder if that's why he's doing it. Is he doing all of this because the Man in Yellow can't directly harm Jade and Tabitha himself, so he needs to galvanize the town into doing his dirty work for him? I guess it would at least explain why the Man in Yellow isn't killing these Jade and Tabithas right when they arrive every single cycle. Why does he let this whole thing play out? Unless it's a game to him. There's also that possibility as well, that he likes the game. He likes seeing these cycles play out. I mean, we did hear him say that what comes next is my favorite part, the part where he goes undercover. So it could just be that as well. Yeah, maybe the Man in Yellow could end this anytime he wants, but he chooses not to because he likes playing the game.
It could be, yeah, and that's the game we had. I don't think we've seen chess references in this season, maybe, but first season, second season, there were a lot more.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we got a lot more chess references during the first half of the story, and a lot of people still are very much behind the whole kind of theory that there are these kind of opposing forces in the background, whether it's the Man in Yellow on one side and the Boy in White on the other, or something else yet to be revealed. That is still very much a pretty popular theory from what I've seen within the From fandom, that this is some kind of grand cosmic chess game being played against the Man in Yellow and the Boy in White, or the Man in Yellow and the children even. Because as the story goes on, we're starting to learn a little bit more that the children are behind a little bit more of this than we originally thought. Not only did the children create the faraway trees, which we found out at the end of in season 2 and season 3, but now we're hearing that it's actually the children that are potentially pretty much pulling everybody in here to begin with. It's the children calling to Jade and Tabitha. It's the children bringing in all of these new incarnations of these Jades and Tabithas, probably with the hopes of that one of these generations will eventually figure this thing out and save them. But I feel like as the story goes on, we're learning a little bit more that the children have a lot more to do with this than just simply being victims.
Yeah, the chess. I'm sure people have talked about it, but I mean, the chess thing. You could, if Tabitha and Jade are like the king and the queen, then you've got all the other pieces. And then whoever the opposing is. It's an interesting idea to play with, but that's like with the tarot card theory and every other theory. It's aliens, of course, but there's plenty of other theories that people can look at. And that's what's so fun about this is I feel like
yes, we want answers. We definitely want to figure out the answers to the mystery. We want to know what's going on. But once we find out what's going on, once we get all of the answers, then that's it. It's over. Show's over at that point. There is no mystery. There's no more theorizing. There's no more kind of diving into it. And I guess that's why I haven't been in such like a huge rush to get answers. I've kind of always been one of those, we'll get the answers when we get them. You know, sometimes the journey is better than the destination type thing. But yeah, there's so many really good ways where you can kind of dive into the show. So many theories that are still very much in play. And I do hope that by the time the season ends, a lot of those theories a lot of our theory crafting anyway, will maybe be a little bit more focused in, you know, a different direction now that we're getting more data points, more definitive answers to go off. But yeah, I like this here as well. I feel the Man in Yellow is a scavenger in the town, and this is his big feeding period when they all turn on each other. I wonder if the talismans get messed with and forced everyone to run out. Ooh, that would be certainly very scary. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting kind of way to look at it, because we don't really know what kind of part the Man in Yellow played in the actual massacre. But like you said, we very much do see him scavenging on the bodies the next morning, just snacking on all of these corpses. So yeah, that makes me wonder, you know, did he have a hand in the actual massacre? Or yeah, is he just showing up the next morning and snacking on all the bodies? And I agree with you as well, Xavier. We need to see the original sacrifice. We need to see the rest of the 1978 massacre after Victor went with the boy in white. And we need to see when Donna first arrives and help Victor cope. Again, 100% with you, Xavier. Like, these are things that I'm hoping that we don't just hear about. These are things that I really want to see. I want to see these things through flashbacks, through visions, through dreams, whatever the case may be. Show us, don't just tell us. And yeah, I have to imagine we're going to be returning to the original Onkui sacrifice at some point and learning a little bit more about the original 1978 massacre. Because yeah, what exactly happened? We see Victor kind of on the street looking at all of this carnage. And next thing we know, we see the boy in white in the middle of the road kind of beckoning Victor over to the merry-go-round. And then boom, the scene ends. But what exactly happened? We heard from Victor, from Scott McCord, that the boy in white helped him survive there for a while.
Right.
But what exactly did that look like? How, like, what exactly did Victor face every day? What did he have to do? Did he have to hide every single night when these monsters came back out and were looking for him? Like, what were those first few nights alone like for a 10-year-old Victor alone in this place?
Yeah, no, definitely. And you've got, I think that you have that one scene where Abby is looking at the street, and I kind of assume that she's seeing the massacre, but then, you know, what is that? What is the link there? How does that connect with everything else? How did she see that, and what part did she play in it?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, because others have stated that they've had visions of the town before they got there.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, that one little scene with Abby has always been very intriguing, where, like you said, we see her kind of just looking down the street, and then Ellis asks her, "Hey, what's up, Mom?" And she's like, "Nothing. You know, something reminded me of something of a dream I had when I was a girl." And a lot of people have started to wonder what exactly that meant. Does that mean that Abby has been in Fromville at some point in the past? Does that mean that Abby is a reincarnation of a previous character that was once in Fromville? I mean, I find it, I don't think it's possible that Abby could also be one of the Tabithas, considering Tabitha was also alive at that point. I find it very hard to believe that there's two reincarnations alive at the same time. Just based on the general rules of reincarnation, usually one version needs to die before the next version is reborn. But that's not to say that Abby couldn't have been a reincarnation of a different character, of a different original Towns member. Because that's another big question that a lot of the fandom has had. Is it only Jade and Tabitha that get reincarnated every cycle? Or is everybody that gets brought in here, are they all reincarnations of previous residents? That is something we still don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think that maybe not, because the Jade and Tabitha are the only ones who wanted to save the kids, or wanted to reverse the deal that they had made. And so maybe that traps them into just constantly being reincarnated as these other people, whereas the other ones went through with it and they're immortal, but now they're just flesh-eating monsters or whatever they are.
And that's another thing. Like, we still need to get a little bit more of a definitive answer as to what exactly were the parents hoping to do when they did this massacre. Is this the immortality that they knew they were going to get? Like, did they know they were going to get turned into these nightmare monster creatures? Or were they promised a little bit more of an idealistic form of immortality and they were taken advantage of? And who was the ultimate entity that brought them this deal in the first place? Was it the Man in Yellow or something else? But yeah, I mean, I guess that's one of the most intriguing parts that I'm really hoping that we'll learn a little bit more of in season 4. Yes, the 1978 massacre is super intriguing as well, because it's just such a big catalyst of the story, which ties to Victor, to Miranda, to Eloise, all questions that we still have here on the show. But yeah, that original sacrifice, we really need a better picture as to what really happened back then. And the original Tabitha. We know that the original Jade and Tabitha, one of their child was one of the children that got sacrificed. Does that mean the original Jade and Tabitha were actually in on this sacrifice in the beginning? Were they going along with this at first and just changed their mind in the last minute because they started to form a bit of an attachment to the rest of the children and just couldn't go through with it? There's so many questions about that original sacrifice that we really, really need answered. And I hope that this is going to be the season that answers them.
I hope so. Well, at least get something. I don't know how. I feel like that we'll end out the season with at least somewhat of a plan for what to do, and then the last season will just be how they get home. Because I do kind of assume that they do get home, or at least some of them.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they will. I'm hoping that some of our characters will make it out. I'm hoping that whatever quote unquote save the children really means, however they save these children that are already dead, whatever that entails, whatever quest they need to complete, I am hoping and pretty hopeful that they will complete it and some of our characters will get out. But I'm hoping there's going to be a very heavy cost, a very heavy price that our survivors are going to have to pay in order to complete this. And, I just always like stories like that, stories where, yes, maybe the good does triumph over evil, but the good is forever changed. They're never the same. Yeah. I always bring up, and I know you're a big Lord of the Rings fan as well. I feel like Frodo's storyline has been for me like the perfect example of how to end a protagonist story the right way, where good does triumph over evil, but he's so damaged. He's so forever changed that he can never go back to the Shire ever again. He's forever something else now. That is what I would love to see from where some of our characters do make it out, but they are forever changed and they are seriously damaged for the rest of their lives. A nice bittersweet ending.
Yes. I think that's what we'll see. I would expect that to see. I guess it would be who gets out, and the question becomes who gets out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe we're headed for a big fucking slaughter fest where everybody's going to die. That's possible too.
I could, but I don't know. I don't see it. It's
It's
not a satisfying ending.
No, it wouldn't be. It would not be a satisfying ending, indeed.
I don't know.
But yeah, let's see what you guys are saying as well here in the chat. Does anyone remember back in season 2, after Boyd escapes the dungeon, he finds Tabitha and Victor in the box truck, and Victor is drawing a picture on a man in a black suit. All right. So yeah, I would have to go back and refresh my memory there. I remember the scene you're talking about, but I don't exactly remember just offhand what exactly Victor was drawing. A part of that scene that always stood out to me was how sus Victor was of Elgin. Like, he's looking over at Elgin the whole night and he's like telling Boyd, he's like, I don't trust him. It's like, I just thought that was kind of interesting how right from the very beginning kind of Victor sensed that there was maybe something a little off about Elgin. But no, that's actually something that is making me curious now, KB. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that scene and look at the drawing that Victor's making in that scene. Because, if he's drawing someone in a black suit, I definitely don't remember that. But then again, I'd have to refresh and go back and look. But interesting catch, if that is the case.
Some people in the chat are saying it was Jasper, that he was drawing Jasper. which kind of makes
Oh,
sense.
that makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That definitely makes sense
Yeah.
because that was right around the time where he had just started remembering Jasper again. Because at the beginning of season 2, Victor and Tabitha are down in the caves, and he sees Jasper. And I always thought that was super interesting. Like we now know why Victor got so freaked out. But at the time, we didn't really have any context as to what this doll was, who this doll belonged to. So I always thought that was super interesting how Victor's navigating these caves and he's walking by monsters like no fucking problem. He has no problem weaving through these fucking monsters like he's tiptoeing through the tulips. Yet as soon as he sees this doll, it sends him into the fucking fetal position. But now we know why.
Right.
Now we know why. So yeah, that was things are coming full circle. I'm going with Eldritch Horror. I mean, I like the aspect of the Man in Yellow potentially being some kind of Eldritch Horror, Lovecraftian abomination entity type thing. I actually would not mind that kind of ending as well, because I guess that is still, an interesting question as to where did the Man in Yellow come from? What is the Man in Yellow? What is this entity? What is this being? Were they human at one point, or is this something just completely otherworldly? I have to imagine we'll probably get the answer, but that is an episode that I'm very much looking forward to. We probably won't get it until the last season, but I'm hoping at some point in season 5, we get a definitive like flashback origin episode only dedicated to the Man in Yellow's origin. Start to finish, just again, a whole episode. MGM, if you hear us, give us a whole episode dedicated just to the Man in Yellow's origins. I would love that anyway.
Yeah. It's got to be more than that. It would be disappointing if the red entity that's in the cave, that's drawn in the cave drawing, turns out to be a little ginger girl. That would be kind of disappointing.
That would be a little disappointing. That would. Or if it turned out to be, I know another big popular theory was the big red symbol in the cave. Some people think was a depiction of Smiley's rebirth. Smiley being reborn out of that husk, that thing. Because there is one point that some people did point out. If you pause that scene just at the right moment, the kind of, the embryo, I guess you could say, that Smiley is in before he breaks out of it, makes almost the exact same shape as the shape in the caves. So some people think that Smiley's rebirth is what the red symbol is supposed to mean. But that would be a little underwhelming for me as well. Like I am hoping that the red symbol was going to mean a little bit something more, like a sign of the big bad, of the Man in Yellow's origins. But who knows? I guess it's an interesting theory.
Well, when are we going to see Smiley again?
Right?
They brought him back.
They brought him fucking back, and they've been hiding his ass the whole fucking season. And this is something we talked a little bit about a few weeks ago as well, because, you look at the first 2 seasons of the show, Smiley was such a big part of this show's kind of identity. You look at all of the promotional material, or a lot of the promotional material, it's usually either Lloyd's face on it or Smiley's face on it. Like that Smiley face was such a big part of the show's imagery, of the show's promotion. So yeah, when they killed off Smiley and then brought him back, I thought, okay, we're going to get some interesting Smiley stuff. And then, here we go. Season 4 is here. We're halfway through season 4, and we've only seen Smiley once, just that one little snippet of a scene at the beginning of the season when he's saying hi to Kenny. So yeah, I think, I'm hoping anyway, that the second half of the season will definitely give us some more Smiley, because we do have this one little shot. It's one of the few shots from, all out of all of the trailers that have come out for season 4, most of the shots we've already seen. Just about all of the shots from all of the trailers have already been in the first 5 episodes. But there are a few shots. There's still a few scenes from some of these trailers that we haven't seen yet in any of the episodes. And these Smiley shots here are some of them. We have not seen, hold on, let me get to the right one. Here we go. Here, we haven't seen this yet. This is a new shot of Smiley, a new shot of Smiley in season 3. We haven't seen this, so at some point we know he's going to be showing up. But yeah, I was definitely expecting us to get a little bit more Smiley in the first half of this.
Well, we haven't seen monsters much at all this season, so
really, I know.
I wonder if that whole thing was just to show that not only are Jade and Tabitha reincarnated each cycle, but the monsters don't get to escape. Like
Yeah.
like they're immortal, and so even if they somehow get killed, they're gonna get reborn,
Like a curse.
and they're never
almost.
gonna escape the curse. Yeah, they'll never escape the curse either.
Mm.
But still,
I
having more monsters would be good.
It really would. I mean, for me, and I know the show's definitely heading into some different territory. We have the main villain that has finally been revealed in The Man in Yellow, so I understand how the show needs to maybe focus a little bit more on that and less the monsters. But man, the original monsters, they're what made this show so good. At least for me, anyway. And I know I'm not the only one. Just based on all the comment sections we've been getting for the first half of the season, we've been seeing a lot of people saying similar, that they want more monster scenes. Because again, the original monsters are just such a quintessential part of the show. When you think of From, I have to imagine one of the first things that people see, or one of the first images that people see in their mind, are the monsters, are these creepy monsters that come out at night. They've been such a staple in the show's history for so long. So yeah, I do hope that we get some more monster scenes in the second half of the season, just because, I just feel like when we're getting good monster scenes, that's when From is operating at its best. But again, I understand how they have to focus a little more on Sophia, with the Man in Yellow now being here and being the main villain, but definitely could use some monster scenes for sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. What about the Lake of Tears? What do you think the Lake of Tears?
Of Tears. Now, this is very interesting. And again, guys, let us know what you think about the Lake of Tears as well. Is the Lake of Tears going to be an actual thing, or is this going to be something a little more along the lines of just Ethan's imagination? Now, when we first got that scene of Jim, of this dead Jim returning to Ethan, a lot of theories were going around as to whether or not this was really dead Jim returning to Ethan or something else. But I feel like Jade brought up a very interesting possibility in, it was either episode 3 or 4, where he's telling Tabitha that this might just be a product of a child's mind trying to come to terms with the death of his father. Like Jim might have just been a product of Ethan's subconscious. It might not have been really Jim. It might not have been some other entity. It wasn't the Man in Yellow. It was simply just a young child trying to wrap his mind around the fact that his father was killed. And sometimes it's a little bit easier to live inside your fantasy, to believe that you can do something to change this. I thought that was a very interesting perspective from Jade when he brought that out there, because before he said that, I was very much in the camp of kind of going back and forth as to whether or not this was really Jim or Fromville trying to play a trick on Ethan because because whatever was pretending to be Jim wanted to find the Lake of Tears. But now I am starting to wonder if the Lake of Tears is going to maybe not be this big magical reveal that we are hoping that it might be, that it might simply just be a product of Ethan's imagination, that he might simply just be his subconscious, might simply just be looking for a way to cope for his father's death. I just thought that was a very interesting explanation from Jade. I mean, he may be wrong. The Lake of Tears could turn out to be very real. After all, there's tons of foreshadowing for the Lake of Tears, not just in Ethan's stories, but you look at the drawings as well. You look at a lot of the drawings that Victor has made, a lot of the ones in his room, a lot of the ones all over the place. There's tons of drawings and references to the Lake of Tears. So I think that does add a little bit more credit to it potentially being a real thing. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, now I'm at the point where I go back and forth on that all the time. One minute I think that was just fake, that it was all just in Ethan's subconscious, and then I start to look at other kind of aspects of it, and I think maybe that was a little bit real. Maybe this Lake of Tears is actually going to be here somewhere. But what about you? When you saw that whole scene, what was your interpretation of it? Do you think the Lake of Tears is going to be an actual real place that they'll find? And if so, will it really be a lake? Or will the Lake of Tears be a metaphor for something else?
Well, I kind of agree with what Beth has in the chat that it could be the pool.
Okay.
Because the pool's there, it's empty. Maybe they have to fill it, as Beth says, but maybe that's the Lake of Tears is right there in the middle of the town. They've got this pool.
Wow.
Now I don't know how that fits in. I mean, I don't know. But that's something I thought about as I was going through it today. But it seems like that from what Marielle said, that the souls never really escape.
Yep.
And so they must be somewhere.
Yep.
Where, who knows? But that's what I assumed that with Jim, because I think that was what was, Jim's soul or whatever,
Okay.
manifesting to Ethan, and it's being beckoned away to like going into the light or something like that, except he's going to be wound up in this lake of tears. Which would be interesting if breaking the spell of the town releases all those people,
All the souls.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think that'll be an interesting kind of aspect because, yeah, like you said, we did kind of at least get some kind of, close to pretty definitive confirmation from Marielle that yes, and I mean, it's something that we've been getting evidence for, ever since the very beginning of the show. But now we're getting a little bit even more kind of concrete evidence that yes, when people die here, they potentially get trapped in this place. And it seems like that is what Julie, Randall, and Marielle were experiencing when they were in the cicada coma. They were feeling and hearing the souls and the screams of everyone that's ever died here. So yeah, I mean, it does lend a little bit more evidence to some of these dead cameos from some of these characters actually being real. Like, was this really Father Cautry's spirit showing up to Boyd? Was this really the dead bartender Tom? Was this really Jim? It does lean some credibility into it, knowing that we are pretty much getting some good evidence that people that die here are stuck here. But for me, the one thing that makes me question the Jim thing so much was the dialogue, was what Jim was saying to Ethan. Now, this is a Jim that has just been killed in a brutal manner by the man in yellow. And the last thing the man in yellow said was, "I wish you would be here to see what I was going to do next." So Jim died knowing that this man in yellow was going to be coming for the town, was going to be coming for his family. Yet Jim has a chance to come back from beyond and talk to his son Ethan, and doesn't warn him. He doesn't warn him that the man in yellow is out there. He doesn't tell him, this is how I got killed. Warn your mother, tell your mother about the man in yellow, tell your mother the man in yellow is here. That was one part of the whole Jim cameo thing that made me very sus of it. Jim's one reason for living, Jim's one reason for being was protecting his family. That is all he cared about. So for him to kind of die in that brutal manner, knowing that the man in yellow was going to be coming for his family and for the rest of the town, and for him to have a chance to speak from beyond the grave and not warn Ethan about that was super sus for me. I think that's why I lean a little bit more towards that not really being Jim. Just because,
Yeah,
I mean,
I can see
why
that.
wouldn't you warn your family? This is your whole reason for being.
Well, it's Jim. There's that.
It is
But
Jim.
yeah,
It is Jim. You are right.
but you could be right. But it could also be that he's pointing, that he's only got so much time, and he's pointing to the Lake of Tears
Maybe.
as a possible way out.
Mhm.
Which we still have the Brundles, which I'm not sure what that will wind up being.
Yeah,
It's not
I'm not
clear.
too sure of the Brundles. I guess, I mean, the Brundles are interesting. Brundles have always been very interesting. And same thing, the second new body of water, the body of water that they tried to see if it was the Lake of Tears when Ethan tried to bring the little bird back. One thing that still bugs me is that we're not really getting good glimpses of these bodies of water. We don't know how big they
Right.
really are, or if they could potentially connect to another bigger body of water somewhere. And I almost feel like that is by design. I almost feel like the show is deliberately not showing us the full size of all these lakes, maybe for a reason. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if the Lake of Tears is real, like if there is an actual legitimate lake, a magical lake in Fromville somewhere that can bring people back to life, I have to imagine it's a lake that we haven't seen yet. It's something that we haven't come across yet.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, the idea that Beth says right here could also be a pretty interesting twist at the end of the day, that the Lake of Tears was right under their fucking nose the entire time, and it's right there in fucking down. It's the pool. All they needed was some water to fill it up. That would be a very interesting and ironic and kind of borderline even funny kind of twist that the Lake of Tears was just fucking right there in town the whole time. So that would be kind of funny, but I think that's an interesting idea, if nothing else.
Yeah. You do have, I guess, Dale's grave is right there, so that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Not really Dale, but
Yeah.
someone's probably sad.
Yeah.
Wasn't Elgin looking for a body of water as well?
Yes, he was.
And he was
That's
asking
right.
about it.
That's
so
right.
he at least is aware of it. Maybe
I guess that is a good question. You know, the body of water that Elgin was talking about, like what was it? Was that the Lake of Tears? Did Elgin actually see the Lake of Tears in this dream, in this vision? Because yeah, we see that Fatima brings him to the Brundles, and it's like as soon as he sees the Brundles, he kind of knows that this isn't the lake that he saw. So yeah, that is an interesting question. Did Elgin glimpse the Lake of Tears already? Maybe.
Because there has to be more to his vision than just the nursery rhyme.
Yeah.
Because that's what he said, is that he remembered his dream and it was the nursery rhyme. But there must be more to it than that.
Yeah. There must
know.
be. I mean, there usually is, especially on this freaking show. Yeah. All right. Awesome stuff. Let's see what else we got. Scrolling down. I wonder what the meaning of Star Magic sign is. Yeah, I mean, we know that the motel, the sign on the motel, the sign for the motel is gone now. But if we look back to flashbacks to the 1978 timeline, the sign was still attached to the motel, and it was called the Star Magic Motel. Yeah, and there's been a lot of theories kind of just crafted just from that name alone. But I don't know, when I go back and forth and I think about the whole hotel, I myself don't really have one definitive hotel theory that I really like, that I really think, okay, this is why the hotel isn't there. I can't say I have one specific theory. But what about you? Do you have any theories as to what's going on with the hotel? Is there one theory out there that you favor more than others? Or is it one of those, I have no fucking clue things? For me, it's one of those, I have no fucking clue things.
I tend to go back to I keep seeing the same colors in all the episodes. And so there's red, there's kind of a yellow or orange, and then there's light blue, and then the sign that's gone is the dark blue. But I tend to think it's the symbols of the sides that are involved in whatever the town is.
Yeah.
But I saw some video that was pointing out that the license plate for the pastor that comes in has something about stars falling on it as well, and that can't be a coincidence that they show that, because it has what looks like a word on it, but it also is for Alabama, and they say like stars fell on Alabama, and so is that. Does that connect up with the Star Magic thing? I don't know. I don't know. But they picked that license plate for a reason. It can't be random.
I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. You like to think that a lot of the stuff that they see, especially stuff that they kind of zoom in on and like make sure that we as the audience are really seeing it, that stuff definitely, I get the feeling it's placed there a little bit more deliberately. Whereas some of the stuff in the background might seem deliberate, might seem like it has a deeper meaning when it really doesn't. And I think I've been leaning a little bit more into that just recently, since Matt Likely did an interview. Matt Likely is the set designer, the one who designs all of the sets for From. And he did say that that he has a certain deal of creative control to put certain things in the set that don't necessarily have anything to do with the story, but just fit the aesthetic of From. So now I'm always kind of like wondering, anytime I see something in the background, I'm always wondering, is this something that was in the script, or is this something that was just there for aesthetic purposes? And it's added an extra layer of challenging. It's made it a little more challenging, I guess you could say, just for me anyway, when I'm seeing this stuff in the background, I'm trying to, look around, look for other evidence as to, is this something that they wanted us to look at, or is this us just looking deeper at something that isn't really there? And From really does that to us. I mean, I feel like From does that very well, where sometimes like the whole fandom will be hyper focusing on like one aspect of something, and it turns out that there was nothing there, and that's the challenge of From, the fun challenge of From. I think that's actually fun about it, is us trying to figure out what we should pay attention to and what we should ignore. And it's tough. It's tough to kind of draw that line.
Yeah. The main reason I kind of keep with the color idea is the bile, because you have the bile, but the bile was useless. We still don't have an answer on what this bile was that they spent so much time getting and then trying to use. So to me, that I don't know. I still kind of connect it. I don't have anything definitive except for it just keeps popping up.
Do you think the bile will ever return to the storyline? I mean, we saw that the bile didn't work as an actual weapon. Boyd coated the bullets, didn't work, which I don't think it ever would work. I mean, if we're talking about actual like real physics, Boyd putting that bile on the bullets probably never would have worked. As soon as you fire that bullet, the heat from the charge of that bullet alone, there's going to be no bile on that bullet by the time it hits its target. You have a much better shot of dipping an arrow in it or something and firing an arrow or something. But this is a TV show. You kind of have to suspend your disbelief for things like that every once in a while. But I guess that is one question that I've always had that I like to bring up every once in a while. And I'll ask you guys in the chat as well, and you too, Snuggie. Do you think we'll see the bile again? Do you think at some point the bile will come back into play where they'll find some other kind of use for it? Or was the bile just one big red herring and we'll never see it again?
I think we won't see it again. That's what I would guess. I still think that it's a clue for something, but it's just not useful for anything. But it's not clear what the clue is.
Okay. Interesting. At this point, I'm not expecting to see it again either. I just think the bile was a red herring. Every once in a while, shows, especially shows that are like these mystery box styles of storytelling, every once in a while you're going to get a red herring object or a red herring character that really seems like it's going to be super important, but turns out to be nothing. And I do think that's what the bile was. At one point, I thought, okay, maybe they'll find some other use for it. But now that we're kind of, 2 seasons removed, I would be very surprised if we saw the bile again. I think it was just a red herring.
Yeah. Something that they got that they thought that they could use to kill it, but it turned out to be nothing.
They thought they had a silver bullet on their hands, but they didn't. But they didn't. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying. What is up, Mo Biggs? Good to see you, my friend. Going to the caves at night and put amulets at the cave entrances. This is something that we've actually heard a few people say as well. Is it even possible to trap the monsters inside the caves? If you can because we've seen, in order for these talismans to work, it doesn't really need to be like a fully airtight enclosure. We saw Boyd hang a freaking sheet over over the crushed windshield of the RV, and the talisman still worked. The monsters still couldn't get in when there was only a sheet hanging there. So what's to say that they don't go and hang sheets at all of the cave entrances and exits, hang up some fucking talismans and lock the fucking monsters in the caves? This is something that I've been hearing in the fandom over and over and over again for years now. Like this was a very popular theory at one point. I don't know. And I guess it goes back to the question. We know that these talismans can be used to keep monsters out, but is it possible to use these talismans to trap a monster inside something? That is still a question we don't know.
Well, what are they going to do with it if they catch it?
Exactly. And this was very interesting. In the in Jade's dream, in the recent episode, in Jade's dream, the sign for the hotel had answers. Pool this way. The pool and the answer and the absent hotel. Too weird. Super interesting and super weird, right? It says, this way for answers, like with a literal arrow pointing in the right direction, in the direction that he was supposed to go. But the motel thing has always been super, super interesting and super trippy because we just have no real evidence really, pointing one way or another, I guess.
No. Well, there's pool and then and then pool is loop spelled backwards. So I mean, and everything
True.
is looping. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very good point. A very good point. Just Stacy Lee says motels are for people who are traveling through a place. Maybe it's just a way to mock the members of town, reinforcing the reality that they're stuck. Now that's actually a very interesting perspective, Stacy, and I don't think I've heard that perspective yet in terms of like what why the hotel is there. That's a new one for me, and I like that. I actually think that's very interesting. That not only are these monsters taunting these people, but the literal land, Fromville itself, is actually taunting these people. And I feel like we already have evidence kind of supporting that with the jukeboxes. Like we look at the jukeboxes and how they kind of turn on right at the right moment to like taunt a certain character, whether it's Kenny right after he loses his mom or Acosta when she's all bent out of shape. Like we'll see this place like laughing at them, like taunting them through these jukeboxes. So that's a very interesting perspective, Stacy. And again, that's one I have not heard yet. That, yeah, maybe the whole motel not being there is just to kind of taunt them. I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I always like hearing something new.
Yeah.
Always fun. Yeah. If we look at the caves and tunnels as a network of webs that could be the Lake of Tears, do you think Tabitha will be the colonial woman? Ooh, I do. I do think that this colonial woman monster that we're supposed to be getting at some point, and we don't know if it's going to be a monster. The casting description of this colonial woman just read undead or dead. So yeah, this colonial woman character that we're supposed to be getting at some point in season 4, I do think that, or at least I wouldn't be surprised if it is a previous version of Tabitha. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think
to go back and tell her more, give her more information.
Yeah.
Like the reincarnate, like the other versions of Jade that pop up.
Exactly. And we know that Miranda was seeing previous versions of herself. Like Miranda, like all the visions that Miranda was having, she was having visions of Fromville, but she was also having visions of all of her previous selves, just like Jade is now. But we're seeing Tabitha hasn't really had that yet. Tabitha has been seeing the Onkui children. She's had some cryptic and interesting foreshadowing dreams, but Tabitha hasn't really had too many visions of her previous selves. The only one she's had is the one little vision she has of Miranda when she saw Miranda's death, Smiley killing Miranda. So yeah, I suppose it would make sense that at some point, maybe once Tabitha becomes a little more open to all of this, like Jade is, maybe she will also start seeing her previous selves as well. And yeah, maybe the colonial woman will be one. I can see that. Xavier says,
take a mushroom. Maybe she needs to eat some mushroom too.
Hey, you never know what's gonna work here in front of you, right? You never know what's gonna fucking work.
Yeah.
But Xavier says,
yeah, this is a good one here.
Yeah, and this is one. Xavier's had some interesting hotel theories over the years, all of which have been very good. I still say that the hotel is invisible like the ruins, and maybe a torch or taking the Bible to the hotel grounds will reveal it. And again, ever since we saw that little aspect of the show with Martin's dungeon, that Boyd tries to go back to it, he tries to get back there, and it's just ruins. And then it clicks for him. He realizes, what is the one thing that I'm missing now that I had with me the first time I was here? Well, it was the torch. The torch is the one difference. So just him having the presence of mind to think of that alone is impressive. But I love that he grabs the torch, goes back, and boom, lo and behold, he's able to access this dungeon again. So yeah, I have always wondered, is there going to be a bigger aspect of that somewhere else in From? And yeah, Xavier, you've been saying this for a very long time, that maybe the hotel is operating in a similar manner, that you need a specific object or maybe even that torch lit within the circumference and maybe the hotel will appear. I always thought that was a very interesting theory. I feel like when the writers showed us that this was a possibility, that lighting that torch revealed the dungeon, I feel like that was set up for something bigger, set up to use that same mechanism on like a larger scale. And that's why I kind of always pointed to the lighthouse, that the flame at the top of the lighthouse might be serving as a similar function, where if you put out the flame in the lighthouse, will it reveal something maybe? So yeah,
Or
I
break
have
the
to.
spell, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've always wondered if we're going to see that on like a bigger scale at some point, and
Hmm.
I think the hotel could be a really good way to kind of bring that home. So yeah, I've always liked that theory.
Hmm. I agree. It is with the now that they haven't touched on the fact that there are now Bibles in the town because that was pointed out, what season one or so that there
Mm,
wasn't any, but now there are. But they
yeah.
haven't. That hasn't kind of been brought up except for just to show that they're there.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, very true. We hear Father Cautry deliberately tell us, like the writers made sure that we, as the audience, knew that there were no Bibles in here. And if usually the writers are going out of their way to impart something like that onto the audience, usually it's for a good reason, that it's going to mean something, that it's going to kind of set something up for later on. So yeah, I have wondered that. Will we kind of return to this no Bible being in from now that we finally do have a Bible in from? Is that something that we'll ever even see our characters acknowledge? And again,
Hmm.
if Father Cautry was still alive, I have to imagine we'd probably already have had a full soliloquy scene from him on it.
Hmm.
But with Father Cautry being gone, he was kind of the one that was at the forefront of the whole no Bible and from thing. Now that he's gone, I'm
Hmm.
wondering if anyone will even notice.
I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we
I
shall
don't
see.
know.
Um, Absolutely. The bile, eating the fear of those in town who suffer. Man in Yellow eats the fear of people. Bile isn't yellow in the real world; it is green. Yeah, I
Mm.
mean, yeah, most bile is green. There is some bile that is yellow, but most bile is green. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, what exactly does it mean? Is it something else? I don't know.
I don't know.
Their suffering is their Bible. He feeds off their suffering, and he is seen eating a liver, bile.
Hmm.
More hope, more suffering, more bile, more for the man in yellow to feast on. And maybe that
Hmm.
is it, David. Maybe that is it
Yeah.
indeed. And we've kind of had some kind of indication that the monsters in particular aren't just looking to kill their victims, they want you afraid. It seems like the
Hmm.
monsters very much feed on fear itself as much as any kind of flesh that they might feed on as well. That fear is something that they want to instill in all of their victims. They don't want to just kill you. They want you afraid. They want you terrified. They want to torture you. They have fun doing all of this. So yeah, it's
Hmm.
definitely, suffering is a huge part of it. Suffering is their Bible. So yeah, I like that in a sense.
Hmm. Yeah. Who do you think
Um,
they're going to be resuscitating?
ooh. Now, unfortunately, this is something I can't speak about because somebody
Oh.
put a spoiler in one of my videos recently in the comment
Oh.
sections. And again, I'm not even 100% sure if the spoiler was true or not. Like it could have been someone just messing around, could have just been a troll comment. But
Hmm.
somebody put a comment in one of my videos recently saying who was getting CPR. And I only got a name of the character. I don't know what happens to them. I don't know if they live or if they die or whatever, or the circumstances that led up to it. I only got a name, which I am not going to repeat here. Don't worry. One thing that I am very adamant on, if anyone's maybe newer to the channel, one thing we will never discuss here on this channel is leaks. It's one thing to dive into trailers that have been officially released or images that have been officially released, but any kind of leak that ever gets leaked, we always avoid it like the plague. So one thing I
Hmm.
can promise all of you, you'll never see us discussing any kind of leaks here on the channel. But yeah, I saw that one comment in one of my videos recently saying that this is the person that is getting CPR. No other
Hmm.
details, no other answers as to whether or not they live or die or what happened to them, just a name. And again, I'm not going to repeat it. I'm not going to say anything, but I will ask each and every one of you that question. Who do you guys think is getting CPR?
Well, before that, is that I know in season 3 it was a problem where some people were getting, I guess, early access to the season and they were
It's a
spoiling
problem.
things.
It's a
It's a
problem.
problem still. Okay,
I
that
think it
sucks.
looks like it. Looks like it. Again, I know MGM is very lenient in terms of who they hand out early access to. Early access, like back in the day, early access to shows was something that was only reserved for like huge, huge, huge channels or like major publications. These days, almost anybody can get early access to shows. And I think that is, there's some positives and negatives that come along with that. And unfortunately, one of the negatives is, yes, sometimes you have people that leak things like this, which fucking sucks. But yeah, and again, I'm not even sure if the comment I saw was accurate or if it was maybe somebody just trying to troll me. But that comment was removed and instantly banned. And that's one thing I've been putting in my comment sections lately in my pinned comment. Anybody discussing any leaks will be banned instantly. Because it's one thing for me to see something and get it spoiled for me, but I don't want you guys to have to see that and get it spoiled for you as well. I mean, I don't want to see it either. It takes the fucking fun out of it. Like it sucks. And again, I don't know if this was a real comment or someone trolling. It was just the character name of who was getting CPR. Don't know if they were real or not, but I guess we'll find out Saturday. But yeah, for that reason, I don't really have a prediction as to who's getting CPR because I had it spoiled for me. But again, I can't ask you guys, who do you guys think is getting CPR? And do you think they're going to live, or do you think that's a death scene we're going to be seeing?
I don't know. I think they'll live. I can't think of a character that would be the most likely to me would be Henry, just because of his heavy drinking. That maybe he has an episode because of his heavy drinking, but I don't think that they'll kill him off yet. That's my best guess for who it would be. Henry's your guess?
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, he is old, that's for sure. He's got to be one of the oldest in town. I mean, he certainly doesn't seem to be in like super great health. We know he's drinking a lot, so yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
It was Dale. Says, hi, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dale. Yeah, Dale came back from the dead just to drop down again and get CPR from Donna. I mean, I actually wouldn't mind that. I would not mind that, Star. I like me some Dale. Although Star has recently saddled me with NPC Roger, so I haven't forgotten that. But yeah, let's see. Who do you guys think is getting? Who do you guys think is getting CPR? And again, just would love to hear theories. I mean, if anyone else has seen any spoilers, please don't throw any spoilers in chat. Just predictions if you don't know what is coming. I don't think the person getting CPR will die. And I guess that is one thing I'm wondering as well. I mean, we see this character getting CPR, but we know how tricky these From trailers can be, where these trailers, they make us think that one thing is going to happen when something else happens. So yeah, the trailer definitely makes it seem like whoever's getting CPR is going to die, but these trailers have very much been deceptive a lot in the past as well. So yeah, it's a very good point. Anything for freedom, CPR person, the person who is receiving CPR, I guess there's no guarantee that they're going to die. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there is 100%, Marie. I 100% agree with you wholeheartedly on this. There is a special place in Fromville for those who spoil shit. There really is. There is a special place in Fromville hell, fresh Fromville hell, for people who spoil the show for others. It's just childish. It shows a lack of maturity. It shows every negative aspect that I guess a person could have when they would want to deliberately spoil something for someone else. It's just such a childish notion. One thing I am very thankful for is just about everybody that comes here, everybody that hangs out here on this channel and in all of these neighboring From channels. You guys have all been super cool in terms of respecting the no spoiler, no leaks type thing. Like, we actually have adults here, and I cannot be more thankful to that, to each and every one of you, because not every fandom is like that. There's a lot of fandoms out there that just don't give a fuck. They'll just spoil everything, like the Song of Ice and Fire fandom. The Game of Thrones fandom is very much like that. But yeah, you're 100% right, Katrine Marie. There is a special place in hell for the few people that do like to spoil for all of us. Special place in Fromville hell. Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's called the fucking box. It is called a motherfucking box. That is the special place.
All right, ding dongs. It's almost go time. Anybody fucks this up, you spend a night in the box.
That's it. Anybody spoils this show, you spend a night in the box. Straight up. Ram says, Donna or Sarah. Donna was foreshadowed, but I also think Sarah would rather die than seriously harm anyone again just because the voices told her. I was a little bit disappointed in Sarah. I'm not going to lie. I feel like, Sarah at the end of season 3, she had really become like super strong, super sure of herself. It seemed like she really conquered these voices getting in her head. It seemed like she really was past all of it. And then we kind of got some interesting character regression for Sarah this season, where all it took was, from her point of view, all it took was a teenager getting, falling into a freaking pool for Sarah to have no problem risking the lives of everybody in town. That pitcher of water that she was told to pour something into, that's water for the whole town. That is water the entire town drinks from. One teenager falling into this pool was enough for you to just forget everything that you had been through with these voices already and just risk everybody's life in town for the sake of one teenager. That was a huge, big kind of character regression moment. And I feel like it wasn't the best choice for Sarah's character. And yeah, it was a little disappointing. I thought Sarah was a little stronger than this by now.
Yeah. She's always, we'll see. I almost want to say that her character arc, her and Julie's character arcs are the most interesting to me. Just to see how she deals with this, and will she kind of pull out of it, or will she, have a little bit of redemption? They've been teasing a redemption for her, but it'd be interesting to see if she was.
Yeah, I mean, and it definitely could be setting something like that up where we see Sarah, stumble and fall a little bit, only to kind of conquer it again later on in the season and have a little bit more of a redemption arc. Because it seemed like she was very much well on her redemption arc. I mean, yes, she took out Elgin's eye, and I know opinions vary on that. I didn't have a problem with her taking out Elgin's eye personally, just given the circumstances. But I know not everybody liked that, which is totally fine. She did take out a kid's eye after all. So yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see where she goes from here. Is Sarah going to continue to let these voices get the better of her, or will she pull out of it once again? I'm hoping she'll pull out of it once again, and she'll realize that nothing these voices say is true, and that it's all just manipulation. Penelope
Or she'll
knows.
discover,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, or she discovers that it's Sophia is the man in yellow.
And honestly, that was what, Sarah is one of the, I know we've talked about this a few times in the past, but one of the things we were guessing early on is who is going to be the character that's going to figure Sophia out first. Like, I have to imagine at some point, one or two or multiple of our characters are going to start to notice something is a little off with Sophia. She's not really reacting very normally to any of this stuff that she's seeing. And we hear Marielle and Christy talk a little bit about that in episode 5, like when they're staring over at Sophia when she's standing by the pool. Like, they're talking about, like, is she just in shock, or has this not really hit her yet? She's handling this way too well. So people are at least starting to notice a little bit. But as soon as Sophia decided to go live with Sarah, I thought, okay, this is going to be her undoing. Sophia's going to want to go live with Sarah, thinking that she's going to be able to manipulate her. But little does she know, Sarah's a lot stronger now. Sarah's a lot smarter now. And maybe Sarah's going to be the one that will finally recognize that something's off with Sophia if they spend enough time together. And then I saw this scene and I thought, no, Sarah, come on. You beat this once before. Don't fall for this again. But I definitely still could potentially see that, where maybe Sarah will still be the one that discovers who Sophia really is.
I wonder if it's something that she says, because she's talking, in her mind. Will she say something in real life that kind of, clues Sarah in?
trips her up, maybe. And
Yeah.
again, I mean, like, when you're manipulating people the way Sophia is, she's constantly telling lies. And I have to imagine you have to be really good at what you're doing so you can remember the lies that you told. And that's one thing. And what's one saying that I've always taken from my father. And it's always been like a life thing for me. If you never lie, you never have anything to remember. And it's so true. Like there's never truer word spoken. If you don't lie, you never have anything you need to remember. It's just the truth. So I wonder if that might be an aspect that might trip up Sophia at some point, where she's spinning all of these webs, quote unquote, spinning all these webs. I know a lot of people think the Man in Yellow might be a giant spider as well. But we see Sophia spinning all of these little webs of deception. I have to imagine at some point she's going to get tangled up in one of them and she's going to slip. She's going to say something or do something that's a little too sus, and hopefully it's going to get a spotlight shining down on her, or at least I hope.
I think in the next couple episodes they'll reveal it. I think so.
I hope so. Again, I mean, I get why they wanted to do the undercover thing, and it was interesting for a few episodes. But I feel like, here we are halfway through the season, and Sophia's still undercover. Nobody knows who she is yet. There's still been no reveal. At some point, our main characters, our protagonists need to know the full extent of the villain that they're up against, or they'll never have any hope of defeating him. You can't defeat a villain that you don't know is there. So this undercover thing, at some point, it needs to give. At some point, the townsfolk need to find out who Sophia is in order for the story to advance. Otherwise, we're kind of stuck in this holding pattern of this undercover storyline just happening over and over again, with Sophia just continuing to kind of manipulate all these characters, which again is fine. But at some point, it needs to build up to a climax. It needs to build up to a reveal. And we need to kind of advance the story forward at one point where our protagonists know exactly who and what they're up against. So I am hoping that's going to happen at some point in the second half of this season. Like I really hope that we don't go the whole season with Sophia being undercover and her never getting found out. Like, they need to discover Sophia in the second half of this season, or at least I really hope they do.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope so. Let's see. And yeah, I want to know how they're going to reveal Sophia as the Man in Yellow. Julie Storywalking, Storeroom Yearbook, maybe. Yeah, again, there's been a lot of good theories out there in terms of, how it might happen. I think Julie Storywalking definitely could be a very real possibility. I mean, what's to say Julie doesn't storywalk back to the moment where the Man in Yellow was literally turning into Sophia, and Julie sees that for herself. That could easily do it. But I also like the yearbook photo. There's been a lot of, there's been a really popular theory going around that ever since Boyd sent Acosta down into the basement to go look through all of that old junk to see if she could find anything valuable, a lot of people think that that Acosta might find something down there that will point to Sophia being like a high school yearbook from like the 70s, pointing to the fact that Sophia was a high school student in the 70s, something that would be very difficult for her to explain. So I think that could be a very interesting possibility. And I think that theory is very much still in play, where, yeah, maybe Acosta will find something in the basement that will expose Sophia. Now, I know there was an AI photo going around for a while, which has been confirmed to be a fake AI photo. So if any of you have seen that fake AI photo, know that it is fake and it is AI. But I still think that theory could very much still be in place, where maybe Acosta could find something down in that basement that could expose Sophia.
Or a photo or something, yeah. With the glasses, there's a reason why she picked the glasses, and that'll be interesting to that has to be a clue for something.
Yeah. Very
Maybe.
true.
Could be another
Very
red
true.
herring, but
Very, very true. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, this is a problem. There should be a contract and or monetary damages for leaking. There should be scanning YouTube videos. I would love that. Again, some studios, when they give out early access, they'll put embedded watermarks into the episode. That way, if something ever gets leaked, like a still photo or a clip from the episode, if it ever gets leaked, it can get traced directly back to that individual person that it was sent to. HBO does this with their early access. I did receive early access to season 1 of House of the Dragon, and all of that was right there in all of my terms of service. That there's embedded watermarks. If you leak something, it's going to get traced directly back to you, and maybe that's something MGM could look into. I don't know if MGM does that. I've never received early access for any From seasons. I don't like getting early access for From. I like watching it every week with each and every one of you. And I'm just not a binge watcher either. It would be so unenjoyable for me to watch like 5 episodes in a row of From and not be able to talk about it. That sounds like torture. But no, I think maybe, again, I don't know how MGM does it, but if they don't embed watermarks in the early access episodes that they're giving out, they definitely need to start doing that. I mean, it's a little late now.
Yeah.
We're at the end of the show, but it's definitely something that they probably should have been doing from the beginning. Absolutely. Because that's the kind of thing that would curve leaking a little bit. Because again, if people knew if they leak something, it can directly get traced right to them, people are going to be a lot less inclined to leak shit. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sucks. It sucks that we are at the point now where From has become such a big show, which is great, but it's become such a big show to the point now where it is subject to spoilers and leaks every freaking season.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It sucks. We try to avoid them as much as we possibly can. But it sucks, there's only so much you can do like this.
Why even give the early access?
I mean, just to create early buzz and early promotion for the show. I don't think it's needed personally. Like,
no, I don't think so either.
I don't think it's needed at all. From is such a popular show with such a wild, big fan base all over the world that MGM doesn't need to give out early access to create buzz for the show. All they have to do is put out a trailer. That's it. You put out a trailer for From, and it just automatically brings all of the buzz right back. So I get why studios think they need to do it. I get they think, they want favorable early access reviews out there before the show starts. Because they think people will be more inclined to watch it if it's already getting good early reviews. But again, I just feel like it's something that is not needed. I feel like it creates more problems than it solves with all the spoilers and leaks that come with it. So yeah, I get why studios think they need to do it, but they don't. They really fucking don't. All they need to do is put out a trailer, and these shows are going to hype themselves.
Yep.
But that's just my opinion. I very well could be wrong. I could definitely be wrong. Just my personal stance on it. And it's one of the reasons why I've been so against early access. Why I've been so against accepting early access here on this channel. It's just not a format that I'm a fan of.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. But yeah, see what else we got. I think Sophia will reveal herself to him, and I guess that's another possibility as well. Like we've all been wondering, okay, which character is going to discover Sophia? Which character is going to be the one to figure Sophia out? But what if it's none of them? What if Sophia just reveals herself at whatever point in time that the Man in Yellow feels is necessary? That could be a possibility as well, that Sophia just outs her own self when she feels the time is right. But because again, it has to happen at some point, whether it's our characters finding her out or whether it's her revealing herself. At some point, our characters need to know who Sophia really is. Otherwise, the story just can't advance. Otherwise, it's something that has to happen.
Yeah, and we need the Man in Yellow back.
And we do, man. We need the Man in Yellow back. I do miss the Man. The Man in Yellow version of the character was just a little more interesting, just for me personally.
Yeah.
Just for me personally. If and when we lose Henry, I will be devastated. I will be too, and I do think it's only a matter of time before we lose Henry. Whether it's in this next episode or next season, I do feel like Henry's ultimate fate is going to be dying at some point. And yeah, I mean, I will be a little bit devastated. For me, and I know not everybody likes Henry, and that's totally cool. He's got some flaws in him as well, for sure. But for me, some of the best scenes, some of my all-time favorite scenes on From are the ones that involve Victor and Henry. Like, one of probably my second favorite scene in the entire series is when Victor meets Henry for the first time. It's just one of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen, just for the simple fact of it's just pure tension. It is just pure tension building up with practically no dialogue needed. There's one line of dialogue in that whole scene, and it's one line that just devastates you every time you hear it. When Victor says, "I couldn't find my way home." Just that fucking scene was so good.
That's where I think that we won't lose Henry, because you've already done, like, how much more can you do to Victor than has already been done to him? You're going to give him his father back and then
You're gonna
take him
take
away.
his father too. Yeah.
I don't know. That's where I think he doesn't. He stays.
I hope so.
It makes sense if he died, but I think he stays just because it would be too cruel to the character, almost. And he has a bit of an arc. He has to kind of accept he has to, accept the situation that his son is in and maybe overcome whatever drinking he has.
Yeah, I think they took an interesting step with Henry and Victor's relationship in episode 5, with Henry getting like super drunk and Victor having to take care of him. For the first time, we kind of saw the role reversal, where instead of Henry trying to take care of Victor, now we have Victor trying to take care of his inebriated father, which again was an interesting perspective, just for us as the audience, but also for Victor having to be the one having to step in the parent shoes for once. But yeah, for me, I just think Victor and Henry have had some really good scenes together. And when you're able to have a scene that is just filled with so much tension, where all you need is one tiny little line of dialogue for, enough to kind of have everyone bursting into tears, that is good acting. That is a good performance right there. And I think that's one reason why I don't really want Henry to go. Like, I would love to see a Henry and Eloise reunion at some point. And I know, a lot of people think Eloise is already dead, and she very well could be. Eloise might already be dead. That's very true. But if she's not, I would love to see a reunion similar to the one we got with him and Victor.
It's okay. Everything's okay.
Know how to get home. I didn't know how to get home. It's okay. It's okay.
Ah, man, what a scene. I didn't know how to get home. Just such good. Really, really good. And I know that Chad absolutely loves it when I play that scene. It totally does not create any tears in the chat. Totally doesn't.
It's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Jeremy, you mother. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I promise I won't play anymore. I won't play any more heartfelt, heartbreaking Victor and Henry scenes.
This is where I buried Mom. I thought you'd want to see. Oh, God. Oh, God. Is that Eloise? I think so. All I found were pieces. She was so small. There wasn't much left. I was the reason that she left that night, Dad. I was the reason that she died. Victor, If I just hadn't said anything, he would still be here, and Eloise would still be here.
No, Victor, you were just a boy.
I should have died that night, too.
What?
You don't have to be my dad anymore.
No, wait, stop. God damn it, I said stop! Don't ever say that again. Do you hear me? I'm your dad. I will never stop being your dad. Your mother did what she did because she loved you. She was trying to protect you. That's my job now. Okay? It's my job. Okay.
Ah, man. Good old Victor and Henry.
Yeah,
I get. I know it's might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I love a good Victor and Henry scene. Maybe it's just because I have a really good relationship with my dad, and especially many of you know everything that we've been going on here, lately with my father being diagnosed with ALS and stuff. It's been difficult, but seeing scenes like this, I guess it reminds me of a little bit of the relationship I have had with my father. We've always been like super close. And scenes like this just hit home for me. I guess that's why I really enjoy the dynamic between Victor and Henry. And I like the dynamic because it's not perfect. It's not just this perfect father-son relationship. There's damage there. There's trauma there. Yeah. There's real issues there. And that also reminds me of my relationship with my own father. So I guess that's why I really like these scenes between Victor and Henry and how they kind of hit home a little hard for me. And even just putting that aside, it's just really good acting. Like anytime you have Robert Joy and Scott McCord in a scene together, it's always really, really good acting, incredibly good performances. So I love seeing these scenes of, a good father and son scene, even if it is a scene, even if it's depicting a darker aspect of their relationship, like we saw Henry and Victor in episode 5. I don't know. I don't want Henry to go, but he might.
No, I don't either. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think Victor will be on the roof for?
Ooh, I see. Again, I don't know, and again, it's not something I feel even comfortable theorizing on ever since I saw that spoiler in my comment section the other day.
Oh yeah.
So I can't really guess one way or another. Why do you think Victor's on the roof?
I don't know either. I don't know. It's not clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one thing, when you see him up there at first, you think, oh, like, holy shit, is Victor going to jump? What the fuck's going on? But then when you hear the dialogue in the trailer, you hear Boyd asking Victor, is there anything else you can remember about this man in yellow? And Victor says, I can try. Like we see Victor actually cooperating. So, I mean, like, why is Victor up there? Is he on some kind of like suicide watch, or is he just up there, like despondent? I don't know. Again, that scene's very interesting. The way that he is the way that he seems to cooperate with Boyd, at least based on the dialogue. I don't know. Again, I don't feel comfortable kind of saying any more than that, just based on the spoiler that somebody freaking threw in my comment section the other day, which I will not repeat, of course. But yeah, I'd love to see what you guys think. Why exactly is Victor on the roof, and who do you guys think is getting CPR? Okay. Henry trips on a beer can on his way out.
He's drinking up all their booze. He's going through it pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, he took that whole fucking big ass bottle of Plumville moonshine up to his room, and then like 2 scenes later, there's like this much left in it. Like he's a hardcore fucking drinker, this Henry. He knows how to throw him back. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see where Henry and Victor's relationship goes from here. They have so much that they still need to work on. They have so much damage that is still there in between both of them. Trauma and PTSD that they both need to work through and get to a healthier place. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where Victor and Henry's storyline goes, where their father-son relationship goes. For sure.
Definitely.
Awesome stuff. Maybe Victor is going to trigger a memory. Maybe could. Very well could, for sure. Let's see what else we got. Maybe it will be Fatima getting CPR due to Smiley somehow. Ooh, now that's an interesting theory. I don't think I've seen yet, Leisha.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting one. I don't think I've seen that anywhere. Yeah, I mean, again, we know Fatima's really going through it. We saw everything that she went through physically. Like, she physically gave birth to a friggin' monster. Who knows what kind of long-term damage that might have done to her body. But then again, you see the psychological and mental aspect of everything that Fatima's going through right now. Like, she's very much not in a very healthy spot mentally, as we see with the golem, she's building. And I get why she's building it. She's trying to kind of get control. She's trying to kind of draw some strength from building this thing. She talks about how it gives her strength. It gives her a way to make her feel like she's fighting back. So she is clearly going through something profound inside. And yeah, it's that Smiley connection, which we had a feeling was going to still be kind of established there, which I'm so glad it is. I think that's a super interesting thing that they can play with there. But no, I think that's a very interesting possibility. Could Fatima be the one based on everything that is happening to her? And yeah, could Smiley have fucked with her somehow? Yeah, maybe.
Wait, you think the golem will actually, come to life or whatever?
I don't know.
And if it does, how the hell does it get out of that room? It's the worst place to build it.
Good fucking question with how big it is. Yeah, I mean, when, and I did a video on this whole golem thing, just because I've always found golems, fascinating. I love mythology like that. And if you're thinking about the traditional version, the earliest version of a golem is the Hebrew version. And in that version, golems can only be brought to life through a very specific ritual in terms of taking a divine word from the Hebrew Bible and inscribing it on a piece of paper, folding that piece of paper up and putting it inside the golem's mouth. That is said to bring the golem to life. Or you could also take the divine word and carve it right on the golem's forehead. That is also said to bring them to life. And to deactivate them, you have to either remove the note from the mouth or wipe the word from the forehead. Now, I guess I'm not really expecting From to maybe follow like the super traditional mythology around golems. Like, will Fatima actually try to bring this thing to life with a similar ritual where she does do that method? I don't know. But then again, this is Fromville. I feel like if there was ever a place where a golem could come to life in, it's a place like this where supernatural shit happens, impossible shit happens here all the time. But one of the things that I found very interesting when doing my deeper research into golems is how very eerily similar the golem is with Victor Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. So many similarities there between these two things. As in particular, in the sense where golems are very much known for breaking free from their creator's control and running amok, creating havoc, very much like Victor Frankenstein and his monster, where the monster grew beyond his control. And both are a kind of, a foray into kind of creating life where life was never meant to be, sort of thing. So I think this is going to be interesting, this whole golem thing. I don't know if the golem's going to come to life or not. I mean, could it just end up being something that Fatima just draws strength from and it never comes to life? Maybe. But if it does come to life, I am very much expecting it to grow beyond her control.
Yeah.
What about you? Think it's going to come to life?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll have to burst through the walls just like the dolls, but yeah, I think so. I think it's possible that it does. Otherwise, why have it in there? If it doesn't go anywhere, why have it there? It's a lot of setup for nothing to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe the bile will do it.
Maybe the bile will do it, yeah. Or maybe Fatima's golem is getting CPR. Maybe. Maybe. This is very true. Very true. And thank you to each and every one of you for all the well wishes. Very, very much appreciate that. You guys have all been super supportive, and I do appreciate that a lot. And yeah, like, what I mean? You know what I mean? Sometimes the Victor Henry stuff hits a little bit different when you've been through stuff like that, I guess you can say. I think that's why those scenes resonate with me so much. But thank you. Very much appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Yeah, when are we going to see the monsters, the proper monsters, not these dolls? Why was it so easy for them to kill the dolls, though? That was strange. Thought that was strange. Yeah, I mean, I did too. I mean, seeing these Scarecrow dolls in the trailer, the way that they're busting through the cabins like they are just this demonic version of the Kool-Aid Man. Yeah, after seeing that in the trailer, I was very much expecting them to be, I guess, a little bit more formidable, at least a little bit harder to kill. But yeah, we see Tabitha dispatches it relatively easily, where all she has to do is kind of stab it with the totem, the totems that are all throughout the ruined settlement. Tabitha picks one up, stabs it, and boom, it's dead. That's all it took. So yeah, I thought that was a little surprising. I was definitely expecting them to be a little bit more formidable. But then again, now that we have learned the origin of these things, that they're not so much like a creature like the monsters that we know, but how these are actually someone's nightmare that was just manifested in Fromville. Maybe it's one of those things where these quote unquote nightmares aren't quite as strong and aren't quite as powerful as like our regular monsters or the Man in Yellow and stuff, because they're just manifestations at the end of the day. Yes, they're real manifestations, but nonetheless manifestations. So maybe they're just not quite as strong and a little easier to dispatch, because not only did Tabitha kill it pretty easily with the totem, but even before that, we see Ellis run up to Fire Mitts right here and just hit it with a stick and completely drop the thing. Like it dropped it. Like all it took was one hit with a fucking stick to knock this thing over. So yeah, I was expecting them to be a little more formidable. But then again, now that we know that they are just nightmares that are manifested, maybe that explains why they're not super strong. Or maybe it's something that grows stronger over time, and these things have been sitting in the bottom of the lake for centuries, for all we know. So maybe they're a little weaker.
Well, will we have someone come in to replace Roger?
Good question. Good question. I mean, we would need someone in to replace Roger, and technically we don't really still have anyone that would have come in to replace Jim or the priest that just died too. Yeah, I don't know.
True.
I don't know. We hear Kenny say that there are 47 residents in Fromville, but when Kenny said that 47, that was when he took account of everybody after the murder of Tilly. So when Kenny is counting 47 people, that's not including the death of Jim. Like when Kenny told Boy that there's 47 people here, that was before they found out Jim was dead. So we have to take Jim's death into consideration, making it 47 to now 46. And now we have Roger getting killed as well, which brings it from 46 to 45. So technically we have 45 people in Fromville right now, plus Sophia. I mean, can we count Sophia as a person? Not really. She's not really a person. She's been there the whole time. She's just pretending to be a person. So technically right now, if the numbers are correct, we should have 45 people in Fromville. So does that mean that we're going to get some new arrivals at some point? I don't know. Again, that's been a really interesting theory right from the very beginning that a lot of people picked up on super early, that when characters get killed off in Fromville, miraculously, it's almost like the same number of characters ends up showing up not long after. Almost like there needs to steadily be a certain number in Fromville at all times is what some people think. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a very interesting question. Will we see a replacement for at least Roger? I mean, Roger's the latest death. So will we see a replacement for Roger? Maybe the priest was Jim's replacement and the priest already got killed. But if that is the case, yeah, we still need to see if Roger will get a replacement. I don't know. I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, I don't know. I think, and again, now that we do know that there are exactly 47 people in here, part of me was always wondering if at some point we're going to see some kind of event where maybe a lot of extras get killed off. Because, I mean, you got 47 people in Fromville. If people do make it out of here, there's no way all 47 people are just going to waltz all out into Fromville. I'm expecting some kind of event at some point that kills off a good portion of these extras. But ever since we got this latest revelation from Jade in terms of how we find out how all the Jades die, not from the monsters, not from the Man in Yellow, but from the townsfolk actually turning on him, Now I think it makes a lot more sense why we have so many extras, why we have so many background characters that don't have names, that aren't actual characters. They're just background characters. Because at some point, they're going to need a mob. They're going to need the townsfolk of Fromville to turn on Jade and Tabitha. And I just can't see people like Boyd and Kenny and Christy and all of our main characters. I just can't see them turning on Jade or Tabitha, even when they all do find out who Jade really is, who Tabitha really is, that it was the calling to them, that all of them might have potentially gotten pulled in here because of them. Even if Boyd and all of them find that out, I don't know. I find it very hard to believe that Boyd or Kenny or any of our main characters, Donna, any of them will actually ever really turn on Jade and Tabitha. But the extras, I could totally see that being the case. Like I could totally see some kind of mob being whipped up in a frenzy where all of our extras and maybe one or two of the characters that we know might join them are going to be the quote unquote mob that tries to kill Jade. Because I just can't see characters like Boyd and all of them turning on Jade ever. But I could see these extras doing that, forming some kind of mob and coming after him.
Yeah, and then that what was the other the one who got her face burned? She's got to be the one that kind of spreads the rumors around town.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, could be. The Crows, still have no idea what's going on with the Crows, as well as anything for Freedom States. I don't get why the Crows interrupted Tilly's tarot card reading if the Crows are trying to help. Again, really good question. Like, what exactly is going on with these Crows? We still have no idea what kind of role these Crows are going to play and what side they're even on. Yes, a lot of people have been starting to kind of be pushed into the direction of the Crows, or maybe trying to help after we got the recent appearance of the Crows. I think a lot of people notice that when the Crows show up to Jim's grave, you see that look on Sophia's face. Like she sees those Crows arrive and she did not look happy. She didn't look very thrilled that they were there. And yeah, that has made a lot of people wonder, okay, maybe these Crows aren't working for her. Maybe these Crows aren't on her side. So yeah, I don't know. Again, I feel like they just haven't really given us enough information. They haven't given us enough data to really, really point in one definitive direction as to what these Crows are here for. Yes, that look on Sophia's face was very suspicious. It was very sus. But that look in and of itself isn't enough. Like I guess I need a little bit more data before I can really kind of, think definitively, okay, this is what I think the Crows are for. Because it's just still just don't know anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe we'll find out. And this is also a theory that has gained a lot of traction lately, like surprisingly a lot of traction. I've been seeing this comment a lot ever since and it's not just Tilly, but a few other characters as well. Ever since we found out that the Man in Yellow was a shapeshifter, ever since we found out that, and ever since we've been getting all these cameos from all of these dead characters, I have been seeing a lot of these theories pop up. Like the Man in Yellow was really Cautry. The Man in Yellow was really Tom the bartender. But I also see this one a ton. A lot of people think Tilly was the Man in Yellow. And again, I mean, Tilly was super sus. I mean, she was right in the middle of everything. She was very invested in what was going on with Fatima. So I can kind of understand, I guess, why people are thinking this. But yeah, this is one I see a lot lately. There are a lot of you out there that think that Tilly could have been the Man in Yellow in disguise. And you guys could be right. You guys could very well be right. We are seeing that going undercover is something the Man in Yellow likes to do. So yeah, I mean, you guys could be right. Maybe
anyone could be it, and that's what I wonder. At some point, is that you could have him change shape to someone else in the town to cause trouble.
Exactly. It's a very easy mechanism that they can kind of use in many different ways. This whole shape-shifting kind of reveal. And again, I think that presents some interesting things and also some worrying things for me, just for me personally, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Are they going to come back to life like Smiley did? Yeah, again, and you said this earlier, Snug, a little bit about Smiley and how he's kind of cursed and forced to come back, very similar to how Jade and Tabitha are kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't call really Jade and Tabitha cursed like the monsters are, but Jade and Tabitha are, at the very least, they are fated to come back over and over and over again in hopes of finally saving these children the correct way at some point. But no, like I think the monsters being in the dark makes a lot more sense now, in terms of hearing, now that we know that what happened to the children, now that we know the children were born in the dark and died in the dark. And if the children were present, I mean, we know the children were present during the sacrifice, and we know that at some point they channeled some kind of energy and poured all of their hope into the roots above them. But there's still more we need to know. Like I have to imagine there's going to be some other kind of big reveal that we're going to learn about that original sacrifice, about what really happened that night. And I wouldn't be too surprised if in some twist of fate, the children hijacked this sacrifice in some way, or the energy generated from it in some way. And instead of getting immortality, the monsters ended up getting this, what they got turned into. And perhaps the monsters only being able to come out at night is a product of that. It's a product of the monsters having to suffer the same fate that the children suffered. The children were born in the dark and died in the dark, and now the monsters are cursed to only come out in the dark as well. I think that would add a fitting kind of poetic justice to the monsters getting cursed and having to pay a very steep price for sacrificing their children.
Yeah. And with that, like, why did they make the bottle tree? Why? Because that's what, their hope went into making the bottle tree, but why? It's still an open question that hopefully we'll figure out soon.
Yeah, part of me wonders if it was the original, the original Miranda and Jade, the original Jade and the original Tabitha, made the bottle trees and put all the numbers inside the bottle trees so their future incarnations would remember the song or would figure out the riddle so they could get that song. Because we did get that reveal in season 3. Jim was actually the one that figured it out, that all of these numbers that were inside all of these bottles weren't dates at all. They were actually music notes. And thanks to that revelation, Jade was able to put the music notes together and he was able to get the song. So part of me wonders if that is the reason for the bottle trees, or at least for the reasons that the bottles are in the trees. So future versions of Jade and Tabitha can find the numbers, solve the riddle, and get that song. Maybe having that song is vital to, them finding out who they really are, maybe. But in terms of why the children created the trees in the first place, why the children created the faraway trees, that's another interesting aspect too. Like, we know that the children poured all their hope into the roots above them, and those roots later became the faraway trees. But why? Why exactly did the energy kind of manifest in that way? Why did the children create these trees? I think we could potentially have an answer when we look at how the trees work and what the trees do. The trees, maybe this was essentially a means for the children to escape. These trees are essentially teleportation devices. They're ways to take you from one place to another. If the children are in the middle of getting sacrificed and they're pouring all of their hopes into the roots above them, I have to imagine what they're hoping for is escape. Is escaping this fate that they're about to suffer, is escaping and getting out of here. And I think maybe that could potentially be why their energy kind of manifested in the form of these faraway trees, that it was meant to be an escape for them. And I think it's ultimately going to be how our characters are going to get out of here. Yes, these faraway trees are very temperamental, and it seems like even the boy in white doesn't seem to have the kind of knowledge or control over them that he once did. But I do get the feeling that once our characters save the children successfully, I do get the feeling that the faraway tree is going to be the ultimate way out. It's going to be one of those things where the doorway, the passageway isn't going to open. The children aren't going to open it until they're saved. I mean, the children are bringing all of these Jades and Tabithas here because they want to be saved. They want one of these versions to succeed where all the previous ones have failed. But once they
Right.
do finally succeed, if this Jade and Tabitha are the ones that do finally succeed, I wouldn't be surprised if the children open up a doorway through the bottle tree, and that's how our remaining characters get out.
Could be.
Because we did hear from the boy in white that the tree is going to be very important. I mean, we see Victor get ready to chop the thing down, and the boy in white shows up right away and stops it. And the only thing that he tells Victor is that it's important. I mean, why is this tree going to be so important, other than it potentially being the real way out of Fromville once the quest is completed?
Mm-hmm. It could be. It could be.
Could
We don't.
be.
But again, if the boy in white one could be more helpful.
He could. He could.
If he's really trying to help. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not the most helpful. He's not the most forthcoming, I guess you could say. Our friend of the boy in yellow, the boy in white, which is I think why the boy in blue was such a refreshing change. Young Jade here, because he very much had that kind of boy in white kind of spirit feel to him, but he was actually giving Jade answers. I'm like, shit, this is the boy in white, but only with answers.
Right.
So I think, seeing young Jade, or seeing the boy in blue, as some people have referred to him as, was like a refreshing version of the boy in white, a version of the boy in white that actually gives freaking answers.
Right. Yeah, that was
and good answers.
Yeah.
Definitive answers too, like big answers on things that we had been theorizing on for a very long time. But yeah, I mean, here we go, folks. The second half of season 2 is just around the corner. I know we are just a few days away. This Saturday, we will be back with our regularly scheduled programming, where we will be doing a pregame show leading right into our live watch party, where Ravener will be streaming the episode in the Discord. And then after that, we will be live right back here on YouTube doing a live after show discussion, diving into all things episode 6. So here we go, folks. We are close now. We are very, very, very close for this 1 week hiatus being over. And I know it sucked. And I know, we talked about this on our previous stream, but I saw something on social media the other day, Snug, which I thought was pretty funny. The official MGM From account, the actual official account, put out an apology. Telling the From fandom how sorry they were that From was off for a week, because apparently they must have seen the backlash. The apology said, "We've seen the mood in the Fromily fandom, and we apologize. From will return next Sunday, yada, yada, yada." So, I thought that was super funny, where networks never do that. Networks never put out an apology for their show being off for a week. That's just not something networks do. So I have to imagine that they were seeing so much backlash, like too much backlash, to the point where they felt they had to make a public fucking statement. So that was kind of fun.
It's good that they did that, because it was annoying to be waiting all week to find oh shit, we gotta wait another week.
Yeah, it was an L. It was definitely a big L on their part. I agree, Star. Because again, we're right at the midway point of the season. It's only really now just starting to really, really get good. The first few episodes were decent, but it was a lot of setup and character development and kind of plotting without really kind of advancement. But I feel like we're getting some good nuggets of information. We're finally getting some really good definitive answers. But the way episode 5 ended, it just felt like, okay, now we're really starting to get somewhere. And boom, we had to fucking wait a week. So I totally understand why so many people were pissed. Like, a lot of people were pissed just based on the videos that I do alone, just the comment sections that we have here. So many comments of people just really, really not feeling what MGM did taking a week off. I didn't either. I thought it was a ridiculously stupid decision, and especially when your show is really only starting to gain a lot of traction right now. If you look at the overall cumulative scores for the first 4 episodes of season 4, they're some of the lowest scored episodes in the history of From. Like, these episodes weren't received super, super well from the fandom at large. I mean, we love the show, of course. And, I have my problems with certain little storylines, but overall, I love the show still. But it was a very interesting time for them to take a week break right after they get the highest score of the season with episode 5. It's like, damn, you're just getting to the point where the fandom's really starting to get into it, and now you take a break. Little bit of a weird time. And a very weird explanation as to why they took a break as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm very, very glad that they put out a thank you. I feel like if nothing else, it shows that they at least, are appreciative of, our time, because we are giving MGM our time. This is our time that we're spending watching their show, time that we could easily spend doing something else. So I appreciate that they at least recognize that, okay, we should probably at least give an apology to the fandom that we let down this week. So that was nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Good on them. Yeah, as they should, right? As they should. They should apologize. And they did, again, and I appreciate that. Appreciate that as well. But yeah, here we go, folks. Here we go. Episode 6 is just around the corner now. And we're looking forward to it. And yes, they made MGM Plus free to watch for a week as well. Gee, I wonder why. Yeah, again, it's, it seems like they were at least attempting to say, sorry, my bad. We didn't, I don't think MGM anticipated the backlash that they received. I think maybe MGM was just expecting that, okay, fans will be a little disappointed that it's off for a week, but not a big deal. It'll be back. I don't think MGM was really anticipating the level of backlash that they got for this decision. They received a fucking law. So I think that was something that kind of maybe took them by a little bit of surprise. And so they kind of put out that apology. But yeah, it was kind of funny. It was kind of funny, if nothing else. But yeah, here we go, folks. Episode 6 just around the corner, and I am very much looking forward to seeing what the second half of this season is going to bring us. I am really hoping that the second half of the season, the stakes are going to get raised a little bit. I'm hoping that the plot armor for some of our characters is going to continue to get a little bit thinner. And hopefully, again, as much as I don't want to see characters die, as much as I don't want to lose any of my favorite characters, the show does need to start killing off some characters at some point.
Yeah.
Because again, even though we love these characters, killing off a character gives a story more weight. It gives it more depth. It gives it more stakes. It gives it more meaning. It gives it more. It gives us more of that emotional attachment to these characters when we have as an audience, know that any of them could go at any moment. It just adds an extra layer of stakes to the show that I think it could really use right now. So as much as I don't want to lose any of our favorite characters, sometimes killing off characters can really, really help the narrative. But we'll see. We shall see. We'll see what's happening with this CPR scene, who's getting CPR. Are they going to live? Are they going to die? What's going on there? Who else is going to live? Who else is going to die? I don't know. But I'm with you there as well. Maybe Ellis should go. I wouldn't mind. I mean, again, I don't hate Ellis. I certainly don't hate Ellis, but it's definitely not one of my favorite storylines. So
no,
I would not mind. And it's hard. It's hard to lose your faves. Like I wouldn't want to lose Jade. I wouldn't want to lose Victor or Boyd. But I know if one of these characters were to get killed off, it would really make the narrative incredibly interesting. And again, it adds some more weight. It adds some more stakes to the show when our characters don't have a lot of plot armor. But we'll see. We shall see what we are going to get into. But there we have it, folks. Snug, some final words and final predictions or final hopes heading into episode 6?
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what's going to happen. I think going off of the early one, maybe the resuscitation is maybe Mariel got to somebody else's hair and we have to try to resuscitate it. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
Yes, maybe it is another haircut gone wrong and they're having to resuscitate somebody's fucking cowlick. That could be funny. Awesome stuff.
I was looking forward to it. Yeah,
I like it. And all right, and last question for you guys in the chat and for you as well, Snug. Favorite storyline in season 4 so far, whether it's one character or multiple characters. What is your favorite storyline so far in season 4?
I
Or
like
at least
the story walking. I think I'm
okay.
interested to see where the story walking's going.
Ooh, all right, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. I like that. I like that. Yeah, for me as well. For me, my two favorite storylines this season have definitely been Jade and Boyd and their team up, and Julian Randle and their team up. Those two have been so freaking fun to watch this season so far. Absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, and we do, and we love Snugs. And a big thank you to Snugs for joining us this evening. And for
It's
those
good
of
to
you
be
who are
back.
maybe, yeah, for those of you that are maybe meeting Snugs for the first time, Snugs is one of our very, very long time co-hosts here on the show, going all the way back to the days of Aldous, Snugs, and Ravener as well.
Yeah.
I should have reached out to you long ago to get you back on here to talk some from season 4, but I'm so glad that you were able to join us this week, my friend, and hopefully this is the first of many.
Yeah. I appreciate the invite. It's been fun.
The chat's missed you. We have missed Snugs. Everybody loves
I miss
Snugs.
them. Yeah.
Everybody
Good to be
loves
back.
Snugs. Hell yeah. So thank you, my friend. Thank you for joining us tonight. Very much appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, there we have. Yeah. Marielle needs to be stopped. Yeah, I mean, she has got to be stopped. Marielle has got to be stopped. Indeed. Fucking stop this woman from ever picking up scissors again. Yeah, and yeah, bring back Little Jade. Yeah, Little Jade was good. Little Jade was good. Yeah, not another Joan Jett special. Awesome. And Kiwi says Jade's Vision Quest. That has been your favorite storyline. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. Good stuff. Yeah. Sophia's arrival. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Did I mention Jade? Yes. It's tough to kind of pick a favorite storyline sometimes, but yeah, Jade and Boyd for me has definitely been it. And then Julie and Randall. Awesome stuff. Favorite scene, Man in Yellow sprinting after Julie. That was good. That was good and creepy. Like just seeing the look on Doug's face, just going after Julie in that scene. Again, it's just, I do stop and wonder like how different would this season have looked? If we would have gotten more Man in Yellow. I mean, I get where they went with the story and they wanted to do the whole undercover thing. Like I get that's what they wanted to go. But man, part of me just thinks of all of the other possibilities that this show could have gone if they would have kept the Man in Yellow as the Man in Yellow. Just, I don't know. I feel like that version of the character is just so much more interesting for me. But I know a lot of people like Sophia, and that's totally fine. Totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, more Men in Yellow. I'm definitely down for some more Men in Yellow.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Jade Remembering is the best for me. Yeah, the Jade storyline's been really fun. Really, really fun. It has. Boyd learning to trip, sit, and being terrible at it, but probably the Man in Yellow stuff. Awesome. Yeah, we need some more Snuggie on the panel. It's like old times. It is. I mean, it's always fun. And Ravener, Ravener couldn't join us tonight, but maybe next time we can get all of us up here on as well.
Great,
I know Aldous isn't. Yeah, I know Aldous isn't caught up yet on season 4. Maybe I told him if he can catch up by next week, maybe we can get him on here as well and get the old band back together. But yeah, Snug is always welcome. Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, this was a blast. Absolute blast. And absolute fucking blast. Here we go, folks. The second half of season 4 is just around the corner. We just have a few days now, just 2 more days, guys. That is it. We got to get through the rest of tonight. We got to get through tomorrow, and then we got to get through Saturday during the day, and then boom, from season 4, episode 6 will be here, and we'll be right here, same time, same place as we always are, doing our pregame show, our live watch party, and our after show discussion. And hopefully we see you guys come and join us. I hope to see you guys there that evening as we dive into the next chapter of the craziness on From season 4. And of course, big thank you to each and every one of you in the channel. And again, another huge thank you to the awesome Snuggie Jr. for joining me this evening, my friend.
You're welcome, man.
And hell yeah, man. It's great to have you back. And yeah, we will see you guys on Saturday for our next pregame show for episode 6. Until that time, stay safe, ladies and gents. Keep those tinfoil hats on, folks, and I will see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Later. Okay, ding-dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Ice and Fire, you're going to spend the night in the box.
on Kui.
I think this is when it happened.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I did try to warn you.